Scientific A/B testing is the only way you can ensure long-term growth as an e-com brand and ensure better performance week after week and month after month. In this video, I'll walk you through the scientific A/B testing framework and how we're using it inside of my agency to scale brands past $1 million a month. But first of all, what is scientific A/B testing? So scientific A/B testing is what companies are using inside of the medical industry, and it's also what is seen as quote-unquote right when you're looking at it from a math perspective. So imagine you are in the medical industry and you want to push out a new product. You gotta be 100% certain that this product is actually beneficial and there's no real downsides from taking this product. If you're pushing out a wrong product that could actually harm people, you could kill people, right? So you gotta be absolutely sure that what you're pushing live is actually beneficial and it's not just you thinking it is. So therefore they're using scientific A/B testing, which I'll be showing you in just a second how you can do as well. I just want to mention that this scientific A/B testing method is the exact same approach we should be using inside of marketing and inside of your e-com brand, because we also only want to be pushing out live winners. We only want to be pushing out, let's say we're testing a product page, we want to be pushing out the best product page. We don't want to push out a losing product page. Now, unfortunately, 99% of agencies and 99% of e-com brands are A/B testing wrong. They don't mean to A/B test wrong. They just don't know how to do scientific A/B testing. Because let me be honest with you right here in the beginning of the video. Scientific A/B testing is tough. It's not easy to understand. There are small metrics. It's tough. You need a lot of data. But this is the only way to A/B test the right way and to get statistical significant winners. So trust me, if you're doing scientific A/B testing, you'll see way better long-term growth and you'll get way more successful e-com brand. But you also need to understand, well, how important is testing even? Well, there's a famous saying, if you are not improving, well, then you're falling behind. And that is very, very true. So you should aim to get 1% better each day. And I also have a quick drawing showing here, well, the difference between getting 1% better each day and getting 1% worse each day. And as you can see, it is a massive, massive difference. So you need to be aiming to get 1% better each day, because then your life will just become so much easier running an e-com store rather than if you're getting worse each day, aka just doing absolutely nothing. So A/B testing is crucial, and A/B testing the right way is also crucial if you want to see results with your A/B testing. So how do you do scientific A/B testing? Well, there's 5 different steps in this process, and I'll quickly just show you the 5 steps and then I'll dive into each of the single steps. So step number 1 is the ideation/the research. This is where you're finding out, well, what do I even want to test? Step number 2 is determining pre-test info. So this is where we're finding out, well, what statistical significance are we looking for? It's a very, very technical step. And this is actually also the big difference between scientific A/B testing and bro testing. This is where 99% of agencies get overwhelmed and they just don't want to do it because they think scientific testing is too hard. So this is a step you really don't want to miss, is step number 2. Now, step number 3 is going live with your test. Step number 4 is monitoring your test, and you gotta see whether or not you should take action. Should you pause it? Should you keep running it? What should you actually do? And then step number 5 is the end test info. And this is obviously when you have turned off the test. So this is just where you're marking down all of the different metrics and noting down in your sheet. So now I'll walk you through each of the 5 steps in depth, and we'll start out with step number 1, the ideation/the research. So this is where you're conducting your test. You're finding out, well, what should I even test? What is my hypothesis? What is my research? What should be tested? Basically, you want to look at your data. You want to find out, well, where is my biggest revenue leak? So for example, it could be that you're getting a lot of traffic to your product page. A lot of people are adding to the cart, but for some reason, people are dropping out in your checkout. Then you want to have a look in your checkout and you want to think, well, why are people dropping off in my checkout? Could it be that the shipping rates is too high? Okay, I want to test out on the shipping rates. Now, a good idea is to look at what your competitors are doing. So you can look at what they're doing in their checkout flow, and then you could try to do something similar to them if you know they're performing well. Now, a good idea about the data analysis is to utilize AI, because AI is so strong when it comes to data analysis. And honestly, if you're doing the data analysis wrong, if you're unable to, analyze data, finding out that you have a big drop-off rate in the checkout, then it's meant to go wrong, because you obviously need to be testing the right stuff and you need to be testing the right places. And if you aren't testing the right places, well, then you're not going to find any winners. So data analysis is very, very key. And I highly recommend using AI to this, as this is where AI is extremely strong. So the second step is determining your pre-test info. And this is honestly the toughest step, as mentioned. This is where most e-com brands and agencies fall off, because it's too technical, they're not as good with numbers, and they don't really understand it. So this is where you really gotta listen up. You can beat your competition just by doing this, by determining your pre-test info, doing scientific testing the right way. You can beat your competition and you can implement winners every single month. So there's 4 key metrics that you need to understand when doing scientific testing, and these are the metrics that you gotta determine now before you run your test. You gotta determine your significance level, which essentially just means, well, how certain do we want to be that this is actually a winner and not a false winner? Now, we've found that going with a significance level of 80% is kind of the sweet spot, because we're pretty sure that we're implementing winners and it doesn't take eternity to test. Honestly, we will want to have, a higher significance level, but then it's going to take way longer to test. So we are 80% sure that what we're actually implementing is actually a winner. Now, obviously, if in the medical space, they're going with a much higher significance level because they want to be more certain that what they're pushing live is actually true. But we want to go with a significance level of 80%, as this is a nice sweet spot of getting a lot of test volume and also getting the right test live. Now, the second metric is so-called power. And this is also weird, sort of metric that not a lot of agencies understand. But power is essentially just, well, how certain are we that we'll actually find the winner and we'll actually find the uplift. So this is slightly different from the significance level, but we also want to go with 80% here. So significance level is how certain do we want to be on the actual test that it is actually a winner. And power is, well, how certain do we want to be that we can actually find, the uplift, and we can actually find the winner. Again, we want to be 80% sure, so 20% of the time we just won't find the winner and that'll be fine, then we just won't implement anything. Again, if we go with too high of a power level, well, then we gotta have an absurd amount of volume, an absurd amount of data, and then we will hardly be able to test anything throughout the year. Now, the third metric you gotta find is your sample size. So this is just your data, and typically we're running tests for 4 weeks. And you can just find out, well, how many conversions do you have? If we're testing on the product page, you're gonna go with the winning metrics of conversions. Then you wanna look at, well, how many conversions do I have in 28 days? I have 1,000 conversions. Well, then I have a sample size of 1,000. Now, the last one is the one that varies. So this is your MDE, your minimal detectable effect. I know this is very, very technical. If it's too technical, then you're also more welcome to schedule in a call with me. Me and my team help eCom brands scale past $1 million a month without retainers. We work on a commission basis, and we help eCom brands test scientifically and scale the eCom brand. Well, MDE stands for minimal detectable effect. And this is the effect that we want to go based off. This is the effect that we want to find when we're doing the testing. And I think all of this is going to make way more sense now that I'm going to jump into our Google Sheets. And this is actually our scientific testing method. We have made a calculator where it's very easy to understand. So let me just jump into the computer so you can actually see what I'm doing right here. So when we're doing step 2 and when we're determining these pre-test info, these are the metrics we're looking at. Basically, this is what you want to be looking at, all of this. You want to change the significance level. If you want to change that, you can change the power. And more importantly, which will change for most of you guys, is the total sample size. So again, the total sample size is the amount of conversions that you're seeing if you're testing, stuff on your website. So let's say you're testing on the product page and you expect that there'll be 500 conversions the next 28 days. Well, then you type 500 here. Then your MDE will change. The MDE is the minimal detectable effect, as mentioned. So this is the uplift we're looking to find. Then you just want to take a screenshot of this. You want to take a screenshot, and it's very, very important that you have the screenshot so that you can look back at it when you're actually running the test. So you take a screenshot, now you have it saved. I'll personally save the screenshot if I'm running a test, and I'll add it into the test we're running. So now the next step is just pressing live. That is essentially just the fetch step. It's pretty easy. And now the fourth step is actually looking whether or not we should implement it. So when you're running a test, you only have 4 chances to implement stuff. There's 4 times throughout the testing period that you can make a decision. It's after 1 week, which is 25% of 4. So this is 28 days of conversions. So this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So week 1, you should see approximately 125 conversions. And if you see a significance level on 80% or above, and you see an uplift of 27% or up, then you can implement it. If it's anything else, well, then you cannot. I've also made a significance level calculator, which we're using here to determine whether or not we should implement it. And it is in the same sheet, so I'll just browse over to it. Let me look right here. 125 sample size MDE of 27. You know what? Let me just do this. And for this scenario, I'll slot it in here. Okay, I have it right there. So let's say one variation is like this. So that is a sample size of 125 like we're looking for. The uplift is on 8.33%. The significance level is 34%. Well, then it's not good enough. We have 5,000 sessions, let's say. Let's say we have 1,000. So in this scenario, you're looking at it and you see we don't have a high enough uplift. The significance level is not good enough. So therefore we keep on going. Now, next week, as you can see right here, we should go for 250 conversions. So let's say next week we look at 150 and 100 right here. And now you can see that the significance level is super high and the uplift is also super high. So this should be implemented. And as you can see here, variant A is performing way better. So therefore that should be implemented. And this is the way you do scientific testing. It could also be that, it could also happen that this is 130 and this is 20, and this is not statistically significant. So therefore you should keep it running. Again, you have 4 times. There's 4 times that you can implement stuff. If it's still insignificant after the 4th week, well, then you're not able to implement it. Then you're simply saying, well, we don't know whether or not it's a winner or a loser. Let's stop the test and let's test something new. So this is basically the 5 steps of doing scientific testing. Now, after you've implemented it and you know it's actually a winner, then you want to note it down and you want to save that in your internal database. It's important that you build a database on your tests. Even if it's a winner or a loser, you want to add it into your database. We're personally, in my agency, we're using Airtable, which I highly recommend. We're using this as our internal database. We're using it for our own tests in our own agency. We are also testing on our website, but we're also using it for all of our clients. So we have a massive database of a massive amount of A/B tests of winners, of losers, of the uplift, significance level, and basically just everything. As you know, data is king, and it's just a good thing to build out your database. Just imagine 20 years from now, if you have a crazy amount of data on your store, well, then it's valuable. So this is just a little side note, and I highly recommend you, storing your data in the database. Now, I hope everything makes sense. I hope this scientific testing makes sense to you. I know it can be very, very technical. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at mikkel@løving.com. Also, if you're looking to, have a growth partner on board that really understand testing and understand scaling ecom brands, well, then feel free to schedule a call with me. I'll leave a link in the description. Then you can schedule a call with me. We can have a chat and we can see if me and my team can potentially help you scale your ecom brand. If you're on the other hand, you're a marketer who wants to learn more about marketing yourself, then you can use the second link, which is a link to our Done With You program, where I will personally teach you how you can be better at marketing and how you can, get better results for your ecom brand. All right, that's it for today.